Hey guys, today I'm going to talk about guidelines and some common mistakes and some frustrations that new users. I've just finished some training with John, and John said to me, "Oh, you know what? There's so many guidelines here, and it's kind of confusing to know where to draw your walls from." Now there is another tutorial, guys. If you look up, getting started, that shows you how to add guidelines. I'll quickly go through it, but today what I'm going to do is show you how to color those guidelines, so that you can just go, well, external walls are blue, demolished walls are red, and new walls are green. This will be more for renovation, remodel type people. I'm also going to show you how to turn that on and off, and I'm going to also show you, instead of using guides, in some cases it's easier to do rectangles because, you know what, it's just easier. Right, I'm also going to talk about split level floors, and we might get into that first. So I'll just go and prepare a file and we'll be back. One sec. So what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to start a new SketchUp file. So new, choose the increments you work in. If it's in Australia, we always work in millimeters. Right, and what that's done is it's opened a new file, and that means that there are no tags inside of it. There's nothing in there. Default tray is really important. I'm going to pin it. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is import some plans. PDF. I'm going to go good. It doesn't need to be huge. Import plans. There we go. Open. Right. I'm going to choose the plans that I want. I'm going to say next page. This is the plan that I want. I'm going to go submit. Now you would scale it as well, guys. The tutorial for this to slow down is in here. In YouTube you can also slow down how quickly I move and talk. So down the bottom right hand side, I believe you can go to half pace or whatever if it helps you. So I have a plan, and this plan has a different floor level from here to here. You can see there's stairs, so therefore there's 1, 2, 3, 4 rises. So I've used my tape measure and put my maximum riser height because it's not written on the plan. So 190 times 4 equals 760. Right, so this plan steps down in this area. So I'm looking for stairs, therefore this is dropped down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the plan, and I'm going to go right click, explode. I'm going to click it again. You'll notice it's still not dropped, so I'm going to go right click, explode. Now you see it's gone dotted, and what this is enabling me to do is actually go through and edit the plan. So I'm going to use my rectangle tool. Let's close that there for a second. Grab my rectangle tool, which is R as a keyboard shortcut, and I'm going to see if I can step this plan down. So I'm going to choose the location I need my wall step down from, and I'm going to go all the way out to here, and then I'm going to go push pull P down 760. Okay, and then I'm just going to dimension it. So I've set up a keyboard shortcut as D dimension. Guys, if you want to have a look at keyboard shortcuts, my keyboard shortcuts, just Google PlusSpec keyboard shortcuts. It'll go to the forum and tell you all my shortcuts. However, dimension tool is over here. Right. Now technically I don't need this line. It's a face that's been created. Oops, this line here. I don't need that one, and I don't need this one. I just leave the 760 there because it reminds me that when I draw these walls, these are higher. That's how to step a plan. So once you've done that, you should triple click the plan and go right click, make group. Now, when we imported the plan, PlusSpec automatically put that onto a tag. And you'll notice over here it's called documentation. It's the only tag that's in the model because when I imported it, it makes sense to organize things inside of there. So imported plan, and there it is there, right? See the lines that I drew aren't on that tag? Okay, lock it. Right click, lock. That way you're not going to move it. You can unlock it later, you can duplicate it or whatever it might be. Alright, the next thing we're going to talk about is guidelines, colors, and how to turn them off. So you'll notice over here I've got external dimensions, and if I can turn them off individually, right, I'm going to just explain that. Notice this little pencil here on the right hand side. That means this is the active layer. So anything I draw, I'll quickly draw a circle, is on that active layer. And if I actually changed my active layer up here to say default, which it should be, I can now turn off things individually, right? And you can see that external wall dimensions was on that tag because it was the active layer. Now, sorry, active tag. And I'm going to explain that in the model that we just created. Right, so what I can do here is I can create more tag folders, right? Which is basically where it gives us the ability to turn things off and on. And I'm going to quickly create 3 here. I'm going to say plus, and this tag is going to be called, what do they call it on this plan here? Indicates existing walls. So I'm going to call this existing walls. And then the next one's going to be existing walls to be demolished. So I'm going to create another one, plus existing walls to be demolished. And the next one is indicates new walls or extent of addition. So plus new walls. Right? Enter. Now, when I clicked plus here, these ones here went inside of this tag folder, and this one here I didn't have a tag folder selected, and therefore it's outside of there. So if I selected here and created plus, I'm going to call this new walls. I'm going to just call it 1 because it's going to be the same name. That way I can define it. Right, so now if I actually, you'll notice it's inside of this tag folder. Now I don't have anything drawn on a tag yet, but I'm going to show you how to do that. So I'm going to just quickly draw a rectangle here. And if I wanted this rectangle to be on existing walls, I would click the pencil down there and I'm going to draw my rectangle. Right. That way, if I turn existing walls off, we'll get out of it, and turn existing walls off, it's on that tag. Now if I went down to the next one here and I drew a circle, and this is just to help you guys do it, it's automatically been drawn on existing walls, top be demolition. As you can see, I spelled wrong, right? And I can't turn that one off because it's the active layer or active tag, right? But I can turn my existing walls off now because it's not an active tag. I hope that helps you understand. So to go back to where it is the best practice is to always have untagged, unless you want to draw multiple things on one tag without having to manually reassign them. There is one other thing. If I go and draw, say, a circle with 5 sides, and I drew it on an untagged layer, I would now have to double click it and change the tag that I wanted it to be on. And I'm going to call this, and put on new walls 1. Right. Right, and you can see that I can segregate very, very quickly what it is. And if I go back to that other model, you'll see you've probably already got the idea of what I was going to show you, is that I can now go and turn off internal dimensions, external dimensions, and it clears up my plan so that I can concentrate on the job at hand. Right, I created scenes up here that remembered which tags I wanted to see in a particular thing, and I gave them a name. We're going to go back and do that in a second. But there's one other thing, is how did I actually get the different colors in the lines? And the answer is that if I actually click here on my color by tag, or it used to be called color by layer in my older versions of Sketchup, I think pre-2017, color by tag and color by layer really quickly enable me to distinguish what's what. Right. So, as you can see, I can turn these off individually, and if I turn color by tag off, what it's done is it enables me to see the plan. And the reason why I put things on tags instead of use color by tag all the time is so I can see the plan. Right? I hope that makes sense. Alright, so getting down to now adding guidelines according to tag, I'm going to go through and I'm going to add some guidelines here, and I'm going to add a few faces as well so you can have a look, and this should help you a lot when you're starting to draw. Now I'm going to quickly explain one thing about guidelines, and it's the tape measure tool here, is you'll find that sometimes you go, it's not creating a guide for me. It only created, and I'm going to explain why that happens, because I actually wanted to do this, a parallel, like a string line. Right, so I'm going to go Control Z, undo those two things. Now, I'm going to quickly just draw a rectangle down here, which will be on the untagged because it's there. And I'm going to explain a little bit of something about my tags. And I'm hoping that you'll be able to see this. See underneath my face here, it's actually got some instructions. So if I use my tape measure tool, which is T, I'm going to use T as a keyboard shortcut. And so I click T. If I move there, I got my parallel line. However, if I went from my center point, you see there's a little plus next to there, and it says, click to place guide or enter a distance. So I can type in a measurement, say 300, enter, and away we go. In some instances, you aren't going to get the line that you want. You can see here, it's not creating a parallel line because I created it from an endpoint. And if we wanted to know what an endpoint was, it is the end. If I use my move tool or M, it says that endpoint, which is covered by my mouse. If I went to the center, it'd be midpoint on edge, right? So depending on, and if you want to do a parallel line, which most of the time you will, you really want to do it from an edge. On edge, move it out, type in the measurement, 300, enter. Right? That is how to create guidelines. You can create a guideline from an endpoint with a distance. Type in 3 meters and enter, and away you go. Right? I use my line tool there, not the tape tool. I think you get the idea. All right, so now we're going to go and we're going to put our external walls in. And at the moment the color's brown because SketchUp automatically associate a default color with it. You can change that later, but let's just go with it. So I'm going to go tape measure from the edge of my plan because I've got an edge to work with, and then I'm going to go down to my first dimension point here. Right? Now, because I was on default or untagged layer, it didn't do what I needed it to do, right? So therefore, if I turn my external walls off, it's not going to turn off, right? So I'm going to delete that. What I should have done is gone over to here, get the little pencil line to where I want it to be, go to my T for tape measure tool, and I'm going to do my first external wall. Now, depending on the draftsman or designer that did this, usually these strings would actually line up with all external walls. So if I just went to here and went in 3725, 3725, enter, it's actually not lining up. So this guy hasn't done that. Oh, it is an external wall here, sorry. And then I'm going to type in 90 mil for my other side of the wall, enter. I'm going to try and find the next dimension, which looks to be 1170. 90 mil. And I'm not going to go and do the whole plan, guys, but I will see if I can. Do we have a measurement there? I'm going to take a bit of a stab in the dark here. Just, you should have done that and typed in a measurement. I'm going to type in 90 mil here. Right. Now, if I go color by tag, see it's really hard because the imported plan is purple and it kind of doesn't work. And I mentioned before we can change the color of these. So I'm just going to make my plan a lighter color to make it easier for me to see. What I did is I clicked on the color and I'm going to go OK, and therefore I can now see my external walls, right? Existing walls. Now I want them to be a different color, so I'm going to make existing walls blue and go OK. And my walls to be demolished. Usually I like to make things demolish in red. Right, pinkish red, but you can change this to whatever you want to. If you want to get specific with colors, go OK. And therefore, if I make my default tag here and turn color by tag off, I can now see where my existing walls to be demolished are. And I'm going to go through and put those in. I won't do the whole plan, guys. I don't think it's necessary. Right, and obviously you'll be checking measurements here. Type in the width of the wall, enter. I'm going to show you one other thing on this too, guys. I'm going to quickly do this. here, and here. And the reason being is that too much information can be as bad as not enough information. Sometimes you're going to get to the other side of the plan and go, well, which wall am I lining up with? And you can see I'm starting to get cluttered and I haven't even done all the walls yet. Right? So, what I could have done instead of actually doing that is I could have used my rectangle tool, H as R as a keyboard shortcut, or rectangle here, and I could have just gone and traced over these. These are also going to be on existing wall demolition tag. Right, and it looks like there's a bit of a jut out here. I'm not using my tape measure, this is actually quicker. I'm going to go to here, and I'm just quickly go to here, and to here, and you'll see there's a face there. I'm going to delete it. Right, if I go to color by tag now, you'll notice that this is probably an easier way to do it, right? Because I can see where the wall ends and I don't have to worry about all of these. So using the rectangle tool and putting it on the correct tag will enable me to very quickly see which is an existing wall and which is the new wall. So if I actually went back to my blue walls here, existing walls, and turn that on and turn color by tag off, it kind of made more sense for me to use my rectangle tool to draw these walls. Get too caught up here. Another thing here too, guys, is that I have a line that is on 45 degrees, and SketchUp kind of makes it hard to do that. So I'm going to show you how I would do that. I'm going to use my line tool, L. I'm going to draw this out here. I'm going to select the line and I'm going to use rotate, which is Q as a keyboard shortcut, but that would be the command there, Q. If you touch Q, I can now type in 45 degrees, enter. I could also offset it or use my tape tool and type in 90. Oops. 90, enter. And therefore I could very, very quickly start to figure out how I was going to do this. Type in 90 here, enter. Right, and therefore I can just go in here. I won't get too caught up. Just go to here, to here, to here. And you can see that I didn't actually line that up properly. It might have been because I was just quickly doing it. Right, if I go back to color by tag, now I have new walls as blue, and which I think is probably a better method in some instances. You have to choose the right decision that works for you, but you can see what's going on there. And if I wanted to, I could also just hide this as well. I could put this on a tag and I could hide it. So if I created a new tag folder or a new tag, and I'm going to call this plan, at the moment it's already on documentation. You remember there before that we already did that, and therefore I can just turn that off, right? But I could have, if I didn't import it with PlusSpec and I was just using SketchUp, I could have just put it on a tag manually, like I did with the square, the circle, and the hexagon earlier. Right. If I want to see everything, click See All. If I want to turn tag layers, tag by color off, I click there. Make sure that before you do that, you go back to default tag when you draw everything. Right. Now guys, you're watching this tutorial. Do yourself a favor and save your model. If you've been working along with me, don't do what I've done and keep it as untitled. I'm going to go File and save it in the location. Save. Right, call it whatever it is. I'm going to call it training and go save. The reason being is you'll have an auto backup. If you crash, your computer power goes out, you're not going to lose your work. Alright, I hope that helps out, guys. So just a recap, one other thing too probably is how would I go about putting my lines down the bottom here? Well, the same thing. It's an existing new wall. So I'm going to go back to here, new wall, and I'm going to use my rectangle tool, R. I'm going to go over to here and I'm going to put that wall in there. I'm going to go over to here, put that wall in there. Right, color by tag, let's have a look at it, there we go. Right, that's how I did that. I could have also used the tape measure tool from the edge here, tape, and gone down to here. The key is to remember that once you're getting too much information and too much clutter, it's starting to get confusion. then this is the best method to change the color, to use color to be able to figure out the type of wall. And when I talk about type of wall, I'm going to go to my wall tool. I use W as a keyboard shortcut. Is it an existing wall? If it's existing, then go and draw it as existing on top of our black or blue or whatever color it is I made it. Right, so I'll quickly go and draw the existing walls here. I won't get too caught up. Roughly here. I'm not, as you can see what's going on, I'm not really spending a great deal of time. Right, these are all my existing walls, and then my new walls, I turn that off and draw them over here. Say here, new wall, new wall. Right, when I go Control A, you'll notice that my new walls are blue and my existing walls are red. Right. Color by tag will also color the walls according to what product it is we're looking at. Framing, as you can see, there is blue. Right. Alright guys, I hope it helps you get a little bit more done and get you past the frustration stage of learning. Alright guys, all the best.